and welcome to That Other Monday show. I'm your host, Francois Van Coke. Now, before we get started, news of the Paris attacks broke last week, and we'd like to offer our sincerest condolences to all the victims, and we sincerely hope that everything there gets sorted out as soon as possible. But this is a local content news show, so without further ado. Now, we know how Australia feels after recently coming second in the Rugby World Cup. This past week, we found out that our constitution comes second too, when Jacob Zuma announced that the ANC comes first above the country. It was pretty reassuring to get solid confirmation from the dictator himself. Speaking during a parliamentary sitting last week, Malusi Gigaba, Minister of Home Affairs, also known as Minister of trying to make it fucking impossible for anyone to get into South Africa, said that Zuma was not wrong in his comments, as he was speaking as the president of the ruling party and as leader of a liberation movement. Yes, a movement that liberates you from your money. So, that's it. The ANC comes first. And as with any gangbang, when you're trying to fuck a lot of people in a short amount of time, get up, get in, and get out. Mark oop, mark toe, mark dear. No, computer, do not enhance. Do not enhance. No. Now, naturally, this quote, which of course was taken out of context, upset our little rainbow nation, with the DA leading the charge as per usual. Now, you've got to give it to those guys in blue. When they see something out of place, they go apeshit on Twitter. They were especially busy making hashtag 444billion posters this week, telling the matric maths class of last year how to spend 4 billion rand. Building schools, hiring nurses, RDP houses, fixing apartheid-era burst pipes around rich white areas in Cape Town, and clearly paying interns to Google image search nurse icons. Now, one thing they did miss, though, is how many toilets you can buy for 4 billion rand. The answer, at 700 rand per toilet from CTM, is 5,714,285 toilets.
100.2 million.
No, Jacob. No. Unless you buy International Space Station toilets. They go for 240 million rand. Now, as you might have guessed by now, our main issue this week is the acquisition of a new jet to be purchased at a price of 4 billion rand for President Jacob Zuma. Now, we have been down this road before. A couple of years ago, when Ms. Mapisa Nkakula succeeded Mr. Sulu as Defence Minister, an order for a 2 billion rand Boeing 777 was cancelled after the offer to purchase the aircraft lapsed. So now the price is at 4 billion rand. So what is the best way to describe 4 billion rand? Well, the obvious answer is 16 in Nkandlas.
Nkandla.
That's also how much Soweto owes Eskom. And speaking of Eskom, that is also the amount that the Germans recently loaned them. Here is another thought. It is the amount that Mark Shuttleworth sold his business for in 1999. Or to put it in jet terms, you could probably buy jet stores if you could crowbar it from Edcon's grip. So why is everybody talking about this shit? On the 5th of November, an innocuous-looking entry appeared at the top of Armscor's tender list. In it, Armscor announced a request for information for an intercontinental VIP aircraft without providing any further information other than contact details and a due date of 20 November. That's like next week. The reason given for the quick turnaround time, the Minister of Defence, is tired of waiting. In all fairness, ANC MPs are usually tired of waiting. They're tired of waiting for many things, mainly for students protesting outside Parliament, or waiting for them to fall from heat exhaustion, clearing the way home to air-conditioned, state-sponsored hotel rooms, clapping Nando's and Johnny Walker Blue as they go along. The media were very quick to slap a price tag on the acquisition of this jet, putting it at 4 billion rand, infuriating those 36% who did not vote for the ANC in the last national election. Of course, the government and Armscor CEO Kevin Wakeford had absolutely no idea where the 4 billion rand price tag came from.
It's not for 4 billion. I don't know where the figure comes from. I don't know where the 4 billion comes from.
Let's put that into perspective, Mr. Wakeford, O ye of so little knowledge of the aviation industry, which is, I don't know, maybe just part of your fucking job. The details of the report arrived in the form of a fascinating article by Erika Gibson of Netwerk 24, who acquired details of the tender's requirements. Those requirements include a condition that the aircraft must be capable of carrying 30 passengers in a VIP configuration over a distance of 13,800 kilometers without stopping to refuel, and with the usual safety reserves. Of course, the usual safety reserves could mean anything from actual fuel to a fire pool attached to the belly of the aircraft for Mr. Zuma and his wives to put out the fire in his pants. I don't know. The requirement alone means that only a handful of aircraft, 3 from Boeing and 3 from Airbus, have the size and range to meet it. It also means an absolute minimum cost of 3.2 billion rand for the aircraft alone, as the cheapest aircraft on that list costs over $220 million in its base configuration, which you can think of as the sort of Uno Fire version of aircraft. Fitting a VIP interior adds approximately another $100 million or 1.4 billion rand. At these values, 4 billion rand is a conservative estimate for the new aircraft. Jay-Z's plane needs to be pimped, Joe. It's very white. Sorry. They'll probably still need cell phone signal jammers in case Musi Maimane hides inside one of the wheel wells. And don't forget a cattle kraal to supply prime steak for the excruciating long journey. And an amphitheater to watch reruns of Generations or something like that. And now, a word from our sponsor. Hi. Today's episode is brought to you by Harry Basco sauce. It's chili sauce. Let's read the back of the bottle. It says recipe number 44. To say it took Big Harry 44 times to perfect his recipe would be an overstatement. You see, the man loves the number 4. And when he didn't get it right on try number 4 or 14, we think he conked it up on purpose till he made it to 44. But you see, that doesn't matter to us, because since that 44th attempt, Harry Basco has been good on anything, and we mean anything. The boss even put a few shakes on his breakfast cereal. Yeah, right. It's made with natural ingredients like chilies, garlic, salt, vinegar, tomatoes, and a whole lot of love. He also loves a whole lot of rock and roll. Wow! This stuff really is fantastic. You really can eat it on anything. I mean, anything. It makes anything taste wonderful. You just... that's really good. Ho! Ho! Now, Zuma's current jet, Nkwazi or Air Force 121, is not able to carry more than 15 people. And with the new purchase, at least 30 passengers will be able to travel with the president. Now, are you fucking kidding me? Do you even research, bro? The current cabinet consists of 35 ministers, each with a deputy, which brings the gravy plane total to about 70 people. Why not get an Antonov AN225 instead? It can carry 190,000 kilograms, so even old Kulubusi Zuma can join. Although the long range of 15,400 kilometers will probably drop significantly to about, 4,000 kilometers. With that range, the cabinet might only be able to visit Madagascar, Robben Island, or attend a Gupta wedding, with old Kulu on board. Old Kulu.com. Another thing, Nkwazi's ZS RSA is only 14 years old. It's younger than our democracy. So sorry, democracy, you can't date Nkwazi. 2 more years. She's still underage. And unlike Jacob Zuma, the ZS RSA doesn't have many hours or miles on the clock. It just needs a decent service, possibly in Seattle, far away from the tender-trepreneur technicians in Mzansi. I don't know if I said that right, but it's fine. Of course, the news of this acquisition has spread far and wide, almost instantaneously. SABC international correspondent Jack Pocock picked up the story today.
I don't know anything about a fucking jet. The only jet I know about is the one I have a account at Tiger Valley. But anyway, don't have time for any of this cock. So, futsek.
Thank you. That was international correspondent Jack. Sorry. Technical glitch. Things seem to just fall to shit as soon as you mention the SABC. So where does this leave us South Africans who will have to foot the bill? According to Kevin Wakeford, CEO of Armscor, the jet will pay back 100 times what the investment of buying the Globemaster will cost.
The return on that aircraft will pay for itself 100 times over.
So, what is that? 400 billion rand? How do you even make a return on a presidential plane? I'm not sure. But as the quicksand reached his shoulders, he managed to add that our current exports to the DRC alone are sitting at 27 billion rand.
The DRC Our current exports to the DRC are sitting at 27 billion.
So, to the rest of Africa, we're looking to you to pile in the other 363 billion rand return. Nigeria? How do you get back 100 times the investment on a plane? Now hang on, Wakeford doesn't really know what the jet will cost, so if we rather spend 40 million rand, we should be able to make a cool 4 billion rand return. And by the way, 40 million rand is $2.9 million, which is enough to buy the Eclipse 550, a jet that can fly to Cape Town from Johannesburg and on the way back stop in Bloem to refuel. Zuma and all his wives can also grab something at the Wimpy and have a quick pee because it only takes 5 passengers. Honorable President, you are not special. Now please understand the meaning of the word special. It means better, greater, or otherwise different from what is usual. And you are not those things. But Uruguayan President Jose Mujica is. Unlike you, he is probably the poorest president of all time, while you are probably the richest president in all 9 realms. When Jose was still at the helms of things in admittedly shitty Uruguay, he used to drive a fucked up old VW Beetle. He doesn't have a presidential jet, probably because the runway required to land any plane in his small country would have to start in Argentina and end somewhere in Brazil. But the truth is that he is just not a philandering kleptomaniac. You see, back in 2012, he attended an economic summit of Latin American and European leaders. He actually asked the Mexican president if he could hitch a ride back. Now, to be clear, the man dressed as a secret agent, that's the Mexican president. The guy who looks like he's looking for his son Pinocchio, that's humble old Jose. Interestingly, at $580 million, the president of Mexico actually does have the most expensive jet in the world. Another first place that you, Mr. Zuma, clearly aspire to.
There is a broken president in a broken country.